Well, how's it going, everybody? Jeff Slakey from iFiber One, and I am here on a fun interview right now with Amy Asher, the new GM for Mason Transit. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, here we are on Route 5, and it's a bus route that goes through Shelton. It's a half-hour route, so we're going to take the tour and talk a little bit about how you've been and things that have been going on. For those who don't know, how long have you been at Mason Transit now?
For 2 months. I started in July.
And where'd you come from?
I came from River Cities Transit down in Longview, Washington.
What's the size of that area for those riders?
The size that transit system serves a community of about 50,000 in Longview and Kelso.
Okay. How is it different with the amount of buses and routes that you have now with Mason Transit?
It's actually pretty similar in terms of the number of buses and routes, but it was a much smaller geographic area, much smaller footprint in an urban environment, whereas Mason Transit is far more rural and a much larger service area.
We're on the bus now. We're wearing our masks. That continues with the COVID precautions here. How has that all been for everybody?
You know, it was an adjustment early on, but it's something that I think our passengers and our drivers have gotten used to and have been really good about staying in compliance. It's something that under the Transportation Security Administration will be required to wear masks until at least January. So they're here to stay for a while, and we're making sure that we have masks supplied for everybody that needs them.
And so then once again, it's not you that are making these mandates. This comes from a higher level government office.
That's correct. It comes from the federal government. And of course, we also have local mandates through the governor.
Sure. So talk to me a little bit about the ridership numbers for Mason Transit. Who utilizes it the most? What are some of the details that you have?
You know, we're seeing that, especially through COVID, that a lot of our community members that rely on and need transit are the ones that are continuing to stay with us. It has dropped about 50% of normal, but we are starting to see it slowly come back. We hope to be able to add more routes and more service back after the beginning of the year once we hire more drivers and get them trained.
I guess in an agency that would have a fair ridership model, you might have some concerns about a drop in 50%.
Yeah, we're fare free here on Mason Transit, which is great, and I think it's a great service for our community.
You talk a lot about the rural community, and for those who don't have transportation, their own cars or transport, the bus system is the lifeblood. That helps keep a lot of parts of the economy moving. I mean, this is an important thing. What are some of the things that you know about how folks utilize the bus service when it comes to going to their place of business?
Well, there's people that are using the bus to get to a grocery store. That's a lifeline service for them. They're also using it to get to medical appointments, doctor's appointments. They're using it to get to employment, getting to service jobs and things like that. So we are a critical part of our community.
Just opened up that new park and ride with the electric vehicle charging station. I know there's more coming out. How have those been utilized?
So far, we're starting to see a slow usage because there are still people working from home.
Yeah.
And so we hope that in the next coming months that we'll see more usage of those park and rides as more of them open. We have one that just opened in early August, and then we have another one, Cole Road, that we're doing some improvements on and getting some security cameras and increased lighting. So we're hope to see more usage of that lot as well.
And then what about the partnerships with other agencies, Grace Harbor, Inner City? I know that there's connectors that people could take there. Talk to me about those kind of partnerships.
We meet frequently with all of our partner agencies. The general managers for each of the larger agencies on the Olympic Peninsula do meet quarterly. We also meet as State Transit Association and as an insurance pool. So we're in constant contact. And if there's any kind of service changes that we have or that they have, we make sure to communicate so that our passengers throughout the region can make connections.
Continuing on now, this great interview here on the bus, Route 5 for Mason Transit. When I was a kid and I rode the bus a lot growing up to school, after school, you knew you had to be at the bus. If the bus was at 1:13, you got to be there a few minutes early because you never were quite sure. But technology today is now allowing it for folks to see the bus on their phones as it gets close.
Yes, that's something that we're implementing here at MTA. We have GPS units on all of our buses, and we'll be launching a real-time bus tracker app. So you'll be able to see in real time where that bus is moving on a map, and you'll know that you need to be out of the bus stop and ready to go.
Sure, that helps on those rainy days.
Yes.
That's great. What are some other future plans? Electric buses are coming on board all across the country. MTA, how is that looking for them?
We're looking at both electric and fuel cell buses, because that's a new technology that has also come on board. And I know that there's some surrounding larger transit agencies that are researching that technology, and so we'll be watching them very closely to see what their findings are.
Do you have any plans, and I don't even know if they still do it, but like the bus rodeos where the drivers or some folks from Mason Transit will go show off their skills? Do they still do that?
They still do that, yes, on a statewide level and at a national level. We weren't able to participate this year because of COVID, but yeah, that is something that's still going on.
Those are great, and that helps show. I mean, the drivers will maneuver through the courses, and that's always a fun thing and a great way to kind of compete against your fellow agencies.
Yeah, show off your skills.
That's
the mechanics
fun.
also have are a part of that rodeo
Are
as
they?
well. So there are mechanic teams that do that.
That's so much fun. As you look kind of to the future of public transportation, whether with Mason Transit or just in the state in general, do you see the ridership levels continuing to kind of maintain, or as folks get back to the office, they're looking for different ways to get there?
I expect that ridership will increase. I know that as people are looking for more environmentally friendly ways to commute and get around, family schedules are tighter. If you can have your kid get on a bus to go to the after-school sporting events, I see that as becoming a little bit more popular. And then just as a convenient way to get around, I think people are looking for alternatives, especially as we see gas prices increasing. I expect it to increase. The
other thing, too, is that you have the rider-driver program where a bus will go up to Bremerton right now. And tell me about how that works.
So we have employees from the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard that are trained bus drivers. They go through our training program, and they are driving large buses for their employees to get to those work sites.
That's a huge benefit. I mean, it helps you guys out, I'm sure, and then it also helps the shipyard out, getting people up there. Right.
You have less traffic on the road, and we're short on drivers, so it is great to have that partnership where that employee who's going in that direction can have that skill set and take their fellow employees.
So you're hiring?
We are hiring.
What are you hiring for?
Well, we are hiring for bus drivers.
Okay.
It's something we just finished a recruitment, and we have a class that's going to start in October, but we will be launching another recruitment in November.
Okay. What are some of the perks to the job of driving the bus? Driving the bus,
you get to be outside, and you get to see people all day. If you're a people person, this is a great job. There's a lot of human interaction that goes on, and our buses and our facilities are really top-notch.
So Mason Transit, head to the website. We'll put the links to that too in the show notes here as we get that ready for you. That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
Continuing on now, I kind of just want to talk a little bit about the different buses that are in service. This is on Route 5 here, a good-sized bus. What are the different sizes that you have? The DialARide buses, I think, and then some of the larger ones?
Yeah, so these larger buses are Gilligs that are about 35 feet long. And our DialARide buses are smaller and allow us to get into more neighborhood communities and smaller residential areas.
Yeah.
And those are much smaller, hold a fewer number of people.
How's DialARide working?
DialARide is going great, and actually we have a new way for people to ride our DialARide service, which is open and available to anyone. But it's a self-service app that allows you to go and schedule your own ride. And you can do that, and we can come and pick you up, usually within about 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So there's an app on our website that you can find, and once you have an initial conversation with our dispatchers to get you set up in the system, you can go online and schedule your own ride.
With the partnerships that you have here at Mason Transit, if someone were to get on the bus at the Transit Community Center, what would you say the furthest place they could get to would be?
Goodness. You could go all the way up to Triton Cove or all the way out to Bremerton on Mason Transit. But then from there, you can make connections just about anywhere.
That's
because
awesome.
We've got connections to Greyhound, Amtrak. You can get on a train down in Olympia. So we get you anywhere.
Great partnership.
Yeah.
All right, so we're off the bus. It was a great ride. At the end of the night, what happens with the cleaning for the buses?
So all of our buses every night are taken back to the bus garage and they are cleaned and sanitized, and a fogging machine is used on them. So these buses are the cleanest buses I've seen. They do a really great job.
Well, Amy, thank you so much for riding with me on Route 5 Mason Transit. It was a lot of fun. Great to talk to you more. And folks, make sure you check out the website. I'll put the links in there. Mason Transit is a great organization. Helps out a lot of folks in Mason County and the surrounding area. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.